So, K-pop Demon Hunters. It's been like, what, 4 to 5 months since the movie came out and it's still a hot topic? People are going nuts for this movie, especially the music. Once in a while, I get hope when it comes to the future of animation because of movies like this. I mean, they really showed us how it's done, in comparison to other studios/companies right now. It was an absolute takedown. It was such a shame it wasn't in theaters on release. I sat down at home enjoying some food and some refreshing soda pop, and God, I felt golden watching this entire thing. Even now, it's still sitting rent-free in my head. I mean, so much so I'm making the YouTube video about it, but I can really imagine these beautiful characters if they were to be my idol in real life. That's how good they did. Want to know what it sounds like? Yeah, I know that intro was really corny, but that was kind of the point. Corny intro aside, I'm going to explain and go through the entire movie. If you want to skip, go to this timestamp on the screen. The movie starts with a crowd, a large crowd of fans for a K-pop girl group called Huntrix. We get like this interview POV from the fans, and through them, we learn all about our main protagonists. Mira, who is basically the bold bad girl of the group and is their lead dancer in visuals. Because of how she stood out, she was considered a black sheep in her family. Zoe is the youngest of the group and is very, very cute. Appearances aside, she is also their lyricist and is known for her rapping. She grew up in the US and would eventually move to Korea later in her life. Rumi is the leader of the group and the loud and proud vocalist. Her fans consider her pop star royalty, but that's not all. Her mother was actually known for another popular group called the Sunlight Sisters. And unfortunately, due to circumstances we don't know, she passed away when Rumi was a baby. That left another member, Celine, to raise her and soon nurture the group to what it is. Huntrix is a bit more complicated than they appear on the surface. They are hunters. Demon hunters. This has been a secret ongoing war for many, many years. Demons are ancient creatures after all, and they are rogue. But they are not wandering, mindless creatures. They have a goal. They steal souls to bring them to the Demon King, Kima. I hope I'm saying that right. To feed him and to keep the fire kindling. One night, these magnificent, graceful warriors rose to fight back against the plague of these monsters. The combination of their angelic voices and their elegant combat filled the people with hope. This brought people together, and ultimately, that good force helped the first hunters create a shield to protect our world from the demons. The Hanmoon. Our girls, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, are from a generation of chosen hunters to keep the Hanmoon up and strong. It's awesome to see the different eras of hunters because that's what music is about. Regardless of genre or time, it's to bring people together. The hunter's goal is to quell the darkness so fiercely, so serenely, it hits the ultimate status. The Golden Hanmoon. Then the demons will never enter our realm again, and the world will be safe forever. Except that hasn't happened yet, as far as we know. And back to the fans. They are freaking out because the show will start any minute now. Here we meet Bobby, who is their manager and absolute sweetheart. I mean, he is nice compared to what I have heard about the K-pop industry in reality. So for some odd reason, minutes before their biggest show, the girls are not in sight. They are on a plane absolutely chowing down on some food. And I mean, damn. Bobby calls and he's like, you guys do know the show's about to start, right? And something is off. How did this insane miscommunication happen? Come to think of it, the staff on the plane are acting weird. They're also oddly incompetent. Oh, they're demons. Demons have these. They're called patterns. And as Mira says,
"Oh, you got the patterns. Now you gotta die."
This is our first kick-ass battle sequence of the movie. They beat up the demons that tried to sabotage them and make a grand entrance on stage. We get an example of how strong the power of their influential music is through their fans. And we even get a glimpse of the Golden Hanmoon. With the concert over, one demon managed to get away to report back to Kima, who isn't happy. Fun fact, I learned that the voice of the Demon King is the frontman from Squid Game. He's also a Korean actor legend, which I didn't know until now. He reminds them that when they get the Golden Hanmoon, they're fucking cooked. Then, a demon speaks up, telling the story of Kima, how he was once almighty and powerful, but is now slowly losing all that he had. He sings in a rather hauntingly beautiful voice. This is a demon named Jinu, someone who made a deal with the Demon King long ago. He offers his help, giving him a new approach, a new strategy. The hunters aren't the only important ingredient to keeping the barrier strong. It is a force also held by
the fans.
Kima is like, yeah, this is bullshit. There is no way.
Okay.
With a little bit of pretty boy flourish, he seems less reluctant. The question then stands, what does Jinu want in return? We suddenly see glimpses of a past that seems to haunt him. They're so haunting that he wants to erase them from his memory permanently. After the concert, the girls unwind, being extremely excited for some leisure and some relaxation because, you know, work, work, work to save the world and to keep their shining reputation. But Rumi has other plans. They're so close to completing their task that she doesn't even want to take a break. In fact, she literally drops a new album for that night. Now they are on premiere for their new song, Golden, and it is a hot hit. The fans are loving it. They're eating it up. Within the bask of their success, there seems to be something Rumi hasn't told her closest friends. Rumi has patterns? Yes, Rumi has patterns. She is part demon. The patterns are seen to come up to her throat, which is not good because it seems to affect her singing. Which is really bad for a debut album. This was right before they planned to be broadcasted before millions. Rumi is like, oh shit, and she anxiously bails. We then get a flashback. We see Celine, aka one of the Sunlight sisters with a younger Rumi. Celine assures that Rumi isn't like the other demons and that once the golden Hanmoon is up, she doesn't have to worry. But in the meanwhile, she must lay low. Rumi tries to sing again, but her voice gives out. She then gets frustrated and we get a glimpse of what lurks in her other half.
Why?
Her literal and metaphorical inner demon. She returns to her girls and they are understanding why she flaked. Not because of her patterns, but because Rumi is a workaholic. That much should be clear. They were anticipating a break, I think 3 months long. They have 2 weeks to fix her voice. So Zoe says she knows a place that is known for healing voices to relationships. As they walk to their destination, there are posters around for some group called the Soldier Boys. When they get there, the doctor gives Rumi an inspection. But no, not to her vocal cords, but rather what her problems are below the surface. Rumi doesn't know how to relax. Zoe is a people pleaser, and Mira is, they're just like, come on man, just give us what we came here for. Finally, the girls get their healing tonics. As they're leaving, they see that people are walking their way. Afraid that it might be some fans seeing them in this compromising position, they huddle up and holy shit. Understandably, Mira and Zoe are thirsting for these handsome dudes. But Rumi is like, are you girls for real, bro? Until she sees her type. He is absolutely beautiful. And Rumi is speechless. The scene plays out like it would in a K-drama. He bumps into her and she accidentally drops her box of tonics. Aw, he's so sweet. He's going to offer her a hand. Never mind. It turns out this group is just a bunch of assholes, so
Watch yourself.
they walk away. Obviously being thrown off by the rude attitude, they pick up the tonics, but they hear music? Remember the posters? These are the Soldier Boys. Let's meet this new group. This is Gino and his merry men. Abby, Mystery, Romance, and Baby Saja. Yes, those are their actual names as far as we know. They're based on tropes. Soda Pop is extremely contagious. Their song is so good, even the girls can't stop their bodies from dancing a little bit. It's a little too good to be true. Their suspicions are right because they see that the Soldier Boys have patterns. The girls are alarmed because the demons have never tried this approach before, but it was working. They kinda shut this shit down. It's kinda charming. This caught me off guard though.
Goo goo gaga.
Gino sees them and suddenly exposes them as if he anticipated their arrival. Gino goes the extra mile to humiliate them a bit. This teasing fuels their fire even more. They run out like a bunch of goofballs and head to the bathhouse. The girls pursue and confront them, to which they are then swarmed by more demons. Rumi chases after Gino and they clash a bit. Amid their fight, Gino ends up exposing some of her skin and sees that she has patterns. So he knows now. The wall suddenly breaks in and we see Mira and Zoe struggling to fight off the horde of monsters. Being pressured between being exposed and saving her girls, she freezes up. Unexpectedly, Gino helps her, covering her patterns and fleeing the scene. They fight the rest off, but it seems that this has granted the demons more entry to steal souls. In a day, the Soldier Boys have caused concerning damage to the Hanmoon, leaving tears everywhere. Zoe's like, they're just a one-hit wonder. But Bobby comes in and disproves that. They're going super viral. The girls are like, oh hell no. They're fighting back. Rumi returns to her room. By the way, those tonics were bullshit. She is greeted by the 2 marketable animal companions. Derpy is a messenger from Gino, and he wants to meet up. Naturally, Rumi speaks politely to Gino, and he's trying to pry for some information. But the tone shifts, and Gino is oddly insightful to Rumi.
Is that what you think? That's all demons do. Feel our shame, our misery. It's how Gima controls us.
Then we get his backstory. His family was facing extreme poverty and they had little to their name. One day, the Demon King whispers hopeless thoughts into his ear and Gino succumbs, giving his soul in exchange for luxury. Then, him, his mother, and his sister were in much better circumstances. But it all came with a price. That being his early death and being imprisoned eternally. His family also paid the price for his sinful actions. Gino uses this personal story to try and see what eats at Rumi on the inside. Rumi is visibly contemplating all this, but is understandably still cautious. There is an underlying truth to his words though. She's never considered that demons feel pain 24/7 and have to work with dark whispering voices all the time. She's mostly been spared that because she's half demon. Rumi is still pissed about everything and just wants this giant obstacle gone. Back in the studio, the girls are just struggling to write a good diss track. The weight of the world on their shoulders is messing with their creative flow. It doesn't come easily with Rumi's singing voice, still not so well. They have to make one hell of a song before the Idol Awards. Fighting demons day in and day out gives them inspiration, but it's also a daunting reminder of what's to come if they don't succeed. And Rumi's not entirely locked in for other reasons. They need a little morale boost, so they prepare for some fan signings. Guess who infiltrated though?
Our biggest fans.
Rumi is not gonna let this slide. Instead of splitting the fans, they're gonna do same table signings. This gives us some wiggle room for shenanigans since we hardly see them interact with each other.
What's up?
Gino and Rumi are not so discreetly whispering to each other about what they last talked about. Mostly. Gino's like, "Are you gonna tell your girlfriends about your patterns?" And she's like, "I will eventually, mind your business, I hate you and your boyfriends." A little girl gives Gino a cute drawing and he's showing... Is that reverence? Humanity? Sympathy? Anyways, Rumi is going through the lyrics with second thoughts. I mean, she's been having second thoughts for a while, but reading these lyrics, if they're dissing demons, are they not dissing the internal suffering they cannot see? Dissing her? Mira comes to talk, and she's confronting Rumi about her odd behavior. Rumi assures she's not hiding anything, and Mira's like, "Man, I'm sorry. Everything has been crazy. Maybe I'm just stressed." This time, Rumi sends Gino an invitation to talk. All the while, the Saja boys are growing and people are going missing, and more souls are being fed to the Demon King. Rumi has a proposition for him that could possibly benefit them both. He helps her seal the Demon King away forever, and he will be free. Somehow. Don't question it. Gino doesn't really show any conviction. He's been dealing with this for so long, he's used to being hopeless for himself. To come to a mutual understanding, now she is the one opening up to him.
I am a mistake. Have been since the moment I was born.
She shows sympathy despite being enemies. Gino does recognize her kindness. When he hesitates accepting a token of that, Rumi walks off, but Gino grabs her wrist. For a moment too long. They have a little moment together, alluding to something else between them before it gets awkward and they depart. These awards are getting highly anticipated and people are on the edge of their seats. The new song Huntrix has made is basically complete by then. They're rehearsing, but Rumi still isn't locked in. It's not just the lyrics, it's the entire song, she says. Frankly, Mira is getting fed up with all this flip-flop indecisiveness. Their demon hunter senses tingle and they are off to find the issue. Side note, Bobby, their manager, has been super supportive all the while super anxious about the rise of the Saja boys, despite playing it off. He questions his own career and if he's doing it right. Maybe he feels more distant than usual from his girls. They rely on him as much as he does on them. Even fighting demons, the conflict follows them, which usually never happens. This leads Rumi to indirectly lash her anger out on Mira.
Not telling us, Rumi.
I
What are you hiding from us?
Not everything is about your insecurities, Mira!
She might be scared that Mira knows or is close to finding out because she's right on the nose. Rumi is just hardcore self-projecting here. The train leads them to a tear, but it is turning into a gaping hole. Demons flood through and endanger the unknowing passengers inside. With a distracted mind, Rumi fumbles in her rhythm and is struck. The demons take this advantage and sweep over the train, leaving it eerily empty inside. Not a soul in sight. The girls are devastated. They've never taken a loss like that on their watch. They can't even fight in sync. Their synergy proves vital to their strength. One of the many factors of keeping the Hanwon strong is the bond of the people that keep it together. One more time, Gino and Rumi meet, but now there's no tension between them. They speak to each other and things get personal, and she realizes he was kinda right. He's the only one that can understand her. They bond over their mutual burdens. Rumi can finally tell someone about the repressed feelings of her demon side. And Gino expresses how being a demon for so long has changed the way he thinks in the worst possible ways. How hopeless he has been, and that Rumi's reassurance has given him a new light. This connection blossoms into something deeper between them. Rumi's voice seems to heal, and Kima's voice in Gino's head goes silent. This convinces Gino enough to help and have the Saja boys lose tomorrow. The moment Rumi leaves, he's dragged back to the demon realm. Souls are coming in an abundance. The once small, pitiful flames of the Demon King are now great and flourishing. Kima reveals that Gino lied this entire time about the deal he struck with him. He actually abandoned his mother and sister. He threatens Gino with compliance. If he doesn't carry out on their deal, he'll be sure to torture him with that painful reminder even more than he did before. Or he can just carry out what they agreed on. Rumi returns home and she decides to have a conversation with her girls. We really see them vulnerable here. Rumi apologizes for her latest outburst and her general off behavior. They also agreed that takedown isn't what should be sung at the awards. They remind themselves that they too have personal flaws and insecurities. They have each other. Rumi even promises that once this is all over, they can enjoy some time at a bathhouse, which is something Mira and Zoe have really wanted to do with Rumi, but for obvious reasons, that was always shut down. Their relationship is repaired and they are ready for the awards. The crowd awaits the Sajo boys to perform first on stage, but it seems that they are fighting backstage. This means that they can perform first. This is it. They sing Golden and it is going absolutely perfect. Rumi sings with no issues, but as Rumi and Zoe are ready to head back, they notice that Bobby is being abducted by demons. But alas, it was a farce. Rumi can see just a glimpse of the golden Hanmoon, and for a moment everything seems right on track. Suddenly, the lights go out. Takedown plays? Something is terribly wrong. Rumi has no choice but to continue on with the show. She is confused and is just caught off guard by the abrupt change in their behavior. The lyrics suddenly dig into Rumi now as they treat her with cruelty. They treat her just the way they have been taught to deal with monsters. With demons. They then tear off a part of her outfit which forcefully reveals her patterns to the world. Rumi is mortified and is set into a panic attack. They then say something that sounds awfully familiar.
We see what you are.
You're a demon.
A mistake.
No,
You have been since the day you were born.
This triggers a mental breakdown. We've seen the glimpses of her demon side, but never like this. And Rumi screams. It's so strong, the entire arena is shaken up, the lights shatter, and the crowd is frightened. Zoe and Mira make it there, but they cannot believe what they see. A disheveled Rumi covered head to toe with patterns. This was a scenario they could have never anticipated, and yet this was a nightmare Rumi feared the most. Rumi runs off, unsure of what to do. She sees the real Mira and Zoe and is relieved, but they cannot unsee what just happened. She desperately tries to explain to them, but they just can't believe it. They are conflicted. They have sworn to kill all demons, but they were allies with one this entire time? Why would Rumi lie? It slips that she was working with Jinu, which makes things worse from their perspective. They don't know what to trust, and they begin to back away, which makes Rumi snap.
I can still fix it!
They defensively raise their weapons to make it clear. They don't feel safe around her anymore. Heartbroken, Rumi runs to find Jinu. When she does, he's beside the imposters. Jinu betrayed her with cold nonchalance. Rumi tries to get through to him like she did before, but he's not budging. He finally tells her the truth of what he had done, and how it will never go away. He can't just make it go away, and she proves his point.
You have to fight it!
That's not how it works!
Yes, it is!
He leaves her there with these new, aching thoughts. She's alone, and this is who she is. The once seamless Hanmoon was now coming apart, symbolically following behind Rumi. No more small tears or rifts. The damage is irreparable. This affects many. Zoe, Mira, Bobby, and the millions of fans are filled with despair for different reasons. But it all correlates. The disparity fills the air like a thick fog, and that's all that was needed for Gima. The Sajo boys feign their sympathy for Huntrix breaking up on stage and announce a new live performance at Namsan Tower. Gima also breaches the minds of Mira and Zoe.
You thought you found a family? You don't deserve one. You never have.
What are we gonna do without Rumi? All our songs are three-part harmonies. How do we...
There is no we, Zoe. I don't get to have a family.
You're too much and not enough. You'll never belong anywhere, but I can give you a place to belong.
We then see Celine. She can likely sense something is off about everything that transpired. She senses danger behind her, but as she turns, she doesn't expect to see Rumi. The patterns were an indicator she was half demon, but now she bears more features. A bright golden eye, the patterns glow, an arm purple the same color of demon flesh, and her fingers are claw-like. These are traits inhabited by demons through and through, but they never were permanent for Rumi before. She gives it to her straight. This is her fault. Rumi falls to her knees and offers her own blade to Celine, the ultimate surrender, a forfeit of her own life. We can see why Rumi is the way she is. All the promises of being free of her demon side, all the pressure, being constantly told to hide a part of herself that she couldn't remove or fix, the side of her that is hideous, ugly, deserving of death. Celine refuses. She can't do it. It's very vague what happened to Rumi's mother and Celine's relationship with her, but they were close and she made a promise. She convinced herself that she tried to accept Rumi, but that was never the case. Celine never seems to learn what exactly she put Rumi through, because she encourages Rumi to conceal and hide it all over again. She's willing to lie. She's so stubborn, insisting that the way she was taught is the right way to deal with the situation, but it's too complicated. Rumi refuses. She's done lying. There's nothing left to hide. This is who she is, and she's accepting it.
If this is the Honmoon I'm supposed to protect, I'm glad to see it destroyed.
Kima, now free from the barrier, is ready to feast. Jinwoo doesn't object, doesn't fight back. He's bitter, wanting this to be over with. Mira and Zoe are now swept into a zombie-like crowd, anticipating a new Soulja Boy song. The boys aren't fitting their usual upbeat, colorful pop group personas. It's now far more dark and sinister. Their new song is captivating, hypnotizing, and seductive. It convinces the audience that they are the answer to their pain and misery. They will all be one as they succumb to the alluring promises of their desires. Just as it all seems over, a voice breaks the silence.
We are hunters, voices strong, slaying demons with our song. Fix the world and make it right. When darkness finally meets the light.
Kima digs into Rumi under the guise she too will fall under his influence. She even admits that her worst fears have come true, that her flaws are bare before everyone. We come to discover that Rumi isn't giving up. We hear a new song, one that is slow, sober. It starts off with an apology, how lying hurt her friends in the long run. It then shifts to understanding despite how confusing her existence is. It is who she is. It took all this to realize, but it's not too late to make up for it. We see in the crowd, Zoe and Mira hear this plea for forgiveness. They are distant, apart, but they gradually come closer. They began to sing with Rumi as well. They aren't alone. They never were. If they want to beat their inner demons, they have to do it together. But it is not their strength alone. It is their love and devoted loyalty to one another. With a loving embrace, a new Honmoon is born. They confidently now face the Demon King. The Soulja Boys move to fight off the girls, but it doesn't work. A furious Kima shoots all his power directly at Rumi. Zoe and Mira are too busy fighting to immediately help. It is overwhelming, and it even deafens her voice. Jinwoo watches, conflicted, but he takes the blow for Rumi. Despite being in pain, he sacrifices himself for her. It was the least he could do after his betrayal. This returns his soul, and he gives it to Rumi. She makes sure that it won't be in vain, as she lands a clean strike on Kima. The crowd slowly begins to sing as well, to encourage their idols, to remind them that they were there for them as fans. And they still are. This ultimate morale boost grants the girls even more strength. The rest of the Soulja Boys are taken down, probably. They fly high above Kima, a pure bright light blasting the darkness away. The new Honmoon is healed, and they are surrounded by their roaring, adoring fans. Near the end of the movie, the girls seem to finally relax and take time off. Oh look, they're finally at the bathhouse. Their relationship has been repaired and healed, for real this time. Rumi still has her patterns, but they are not as dark and prominent as they were, like healed scars. The weight on them has been lifted, and they collectively feel better and just want to get back to what they love doing the most: pleasing the fans. And scene. That's the end of the movie. If you didn't watch the movie like the first week when it came out, I guarantee that you otherwise heard a song first. Most likely Golden. No more hiding, I'll be shining. Though I love Golden, I wish the other songs were loved as much as this one. Though to be fair, I don't really think that's fair to say because there are only so many songs in the OST. Isn't it fitting though? The most popular song within this movie is so popular in the real world. There's actually this joke that our golden Honmoon in real life has been sealed for a long time. And no, it's not because of Blackpink, EXO, BTS, and other talented groups. It's because of this guy.
Oppan Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
When it comes to soundtracks in movies or series, it's a hit or miss. Some really just have that memorable, iconic sound, and some you just forget by the end of the movie. It is especially important for a movie which focuses on a particular genre. Like, imagine making a movie about music and it just has no lyricism. That would be so embarrassing. But they did so amazing. Like, the first song caught me off guard. I was nodding my head and rocking my body and shit. The way they transitioned it to be in sync with like the fighting was awesome. It was also surprising for me because when I hear a musical in a movie, I typically think like a theater musical, like Disney or like Wicked. Especially because it's animated, I guess it does fall more into the Disney category that people are familiar with. And I guess in a way I'm saying that it's more sensitized and more like playing it safe. I think other people think the same and kind of were put off by the thought of watching it. My brother was like that. I was like, dude, you gotta watch it, you're gonna like it. And he was like, yeah, but singing. I was like, boy, he watched it and he liked it. Yeah, buddy, your big sister knows what she's talking about. I am very much into music on a deeper level, like emotionally. So it makes me happy that they really put their effort into something so vital. And that includes getting the right people to guide it into that sweet spot. I introduce to you EJ. You wanna know who hit those unbelievable high notes? This is Rumi's singing voice. She also co-wrote and made a lot of demos for the soundtrack of this film. She has a lot of history in the industry and has done a lot for other groups actually. Did you guys know that the approval of her debut was denied because she was too old? I'm also going to mention the singing voices of Zoe and Mira because they also did an amazing job. But the distribution between who got a certain amount of singing is unproportionate. Just a little bit. It had to do with the direction of the movie. Like maybe if we get more content we can focus on Mira and Zoe more. Audrey Nuna is the singing voice of Mira and Rhea Mi is Zoe's. All three are already established artists and have their own albums. They're also super stylish and like gorgeous. How does one hit the lottery like that? And I especially hope that because K-pop Demon Hunters blew up so well, people will also look at their other music. I've listened to the soundtrack multiple times and I love all of the songs. But there are just some songs that aren't included. I mean the film scores, which is like the instrumentals that are played in the background of the movie. For now we already have instrumentals and acapellas, but they're for songs we've already had for a while. I doubt it's in high demand to get more, but a girl can dream. For example, there's multiple variants of Takedown, and then there's the scene where we have the epic guitar riff of when they were fighting the water demons. The visuals really elevated the songs. In different categories, there were the choreographic battle sequences, the music videos, and the montages. I love how this scene felt like an awesome rhythm game. It leaves a lasting first impression and you will remember it because it's so damn addicting. There were scenes that gave the immersion like you were actually at the concert. We have to talk about the choreography, man. It's so smooth and clean. I mean, people were doing the soda pop dance as a trend a bit ago. My favorite move is this one. Man, I looped it over and over and over. When multiple people are synchronized in a dance, it's just really memorizing. They did so many demos and so many takes to perfect the recipe. As I'm recording now, I'm sure a few songs are still in the top 50 global charts, which is really impressive for how long it's been going on. Basically, they did amazing with the soundtrack, they did their homework, and they did not miss. Of course, Korean culture had a big role in this movie, and I think it's a nice change of pace. And I'm referring to the fact that Japanese animation and media is definitely favored a lot here in America. You know, anime, manga, and other things involved with that. And I'm not saying that other Asian media isn't seen in America, nor am I saying that this movie made Korean media popular. It's already well known for a long time. I'm just saying that Japan is really popular. My point is, there's other diverse cultures you can appreciate respectfully. Actually, there was this trend that artists did that had their own cultures as hunters. And it was cool to see everyone's spin on it. I tried to find some examples, but what I found was AI garbage. Does it make sense that a machine that has no living upbringing can understand the personal culture of our ancestors? Don't get me started on the amount of AI shit there is for K-pop Demon Hunters. I guess it's the cost of being so popular, content farms. The last popular movie I heard was like Neza or Neza 2. I liked the first movie. There was also this other movie called The White Snake and the other movies that follow around it. What they all have in common is that they talk about folklore, mythology, and tradition. And I think it's really interesting to talk about a world that was once seen through our ancestors' eyes. Now, K-pop Demon Hunters is definitely more modern than the movies I used as an example, but I think the modern twist is hard to achieve, especially when storytelling can get really messy because you have to include the logic of the old world and the new world. And I guess because it's fictional, it can kind of go in any direction. K-pop Demon Hunters wasn't based on any particular story in history, so things are pretty flexible and open for translation. In my opinion, it stayed consistent decent in that particular area. Behind the scenes of a good movie, there will be plenty of research done to get things accurate. Sometimes, to truly get the creative juices flowing, the creators will take trips to truly study and get acknowledged with the environments and people. Or you'll have people that were raised with that experience who will give their input and ideas. Like, the last thing you'd want is for it to feel like a parody. I'm not Korean, so I can't speak on the behalf of someone who is, but I can understand how awesome it feels to get that type of representation. And to see that other people are curious about it must feel pretty nice. If you are Korean or Korean American, tell me what you feel about it in the comments. The animation is a foundation because that's just something people are pulled to. First impressions are everything after all. Yeah, it's the same studio that made Spider-Verse. The chances were higher it was going to be a gorgeous movie. There were so many concepts, storyboards, designs that just did not make it to the final film, so we just have to appreciate what we got. In Korea, manhwas are popular. It's a graphic novel or comic. There's a chance you might have read one before on like Webtoon, for example. The reason why I brought that up is because in some scenes they turn very stylized. It's also to add humorous exaggeration. It's really unique and something that makes it go, oh wow, that really stands out. It's like how in Spider-Verse, it's in a comic book style, and some spider people are different because of the dimension they're from. Or like in the Mitchells vs. the Machines, these doodles pop up on the screen because the main character is expressive and is an artist. And that includes how some move at a different frame per second than the other for emphasis. If you want to deeper dive into that topic, I recommend this video. What they nailed are also the color palettes. Colors are really important to set certain moods and scenes. The beginning of the movie is very vibrant and flashy because hey, we're on our way to see a concert while we fight demons with finesse. You might as well have had that concert inside the plane. Golden speaks for itself. People like bright golden colors because it gives them hope for something greater on the horizon. And with it being paired with the colors black and white, it kind of gives a luxurious feel. Or they just like what shines and glitters. Generally good things. When the Saja Boys first performed, we saw bright colors literally paint the buildings. Very bright blues, pinks, yellows, and purples. It's bubbly, cute, and playful to match the song. Whenever we see the demon realm, it is usually a dark purple or blue. Something that is meant to be foggy or mysterious. Gima is in a sharper color so that he stands out with those hot pink flames. It's a contrast to the soothing blue of the Hanmoon. It's highlighted in this scene even though it's funny.
It's just social media numbers. Not the end of the world.
When they fight the water demons in the bathhouse, the air is green and mucky like it's going for a swampy, polluted feel. Like a stink-ass aura. A bit later, when Rumi and Jinu have their 1v1, the colors are intense, aggressive, primary colors. Whenever Rumi and Jinu meet in secret, it's usually at a time where it's darker. The colors are more calm and muted because they're trying to be subtle. And when they sing free, lights glow all around them like a moment of truth is revealed. Near the end, we get more emphasis on the demon color schemes. When the imposters are on stage singing with Rumi, we get an eerie violet red. The audience and the stage are flooded the same way, replacing the golden radiant colors. It's super ominous as they circle Rumi like sharks. They are on the prowl for blood. The lighting beneath their faces make that point, while Rumi is under a spotlight like the pressure is caving in on her. All eyes are on her. When Rumi confronts Celine, the colors follow here, even with this being an assumed safe spot for them. Any other scene is presented as literally night and day. Throughout the film, there would occasionally be the demon palette, but things get intense and we're seeing it more and more often as the Hanmoon is corrupted and rips apart. Even if the rest of the world cannot see it, it's everywhere expressing everyone's despair. The colors of the Saja Boys change significantly as well to match Gima, darker purples, strong violets, and magenta colors. The transition in colors here is so clean, I love it. It's very cinematic and dramatic. It's also for the sake of clarity so you can see their silhouettes because they all wear black. In the finale, color palettes crash with one another. Darkness and light. It is absolutely gorgeous. I just want to say a few things about their outfits. Their outfits are so well crafted and stylish in a way that screams modern pop star fashion. I hope we get an art book so we can see all that they had going on behind the scenes. Please, please, Sony, release the art book and I will give you everything. A criticism that was brought up a lot was that, oh, this movie was too short or this should have been a series. I think realistically it was a gamble that this movie would be a success. Actually, I think success is an understatement. I thought that by the time I'd be making this video, it would have been too late and the hype would be over. The last time I was interested into something that lasted this long was Arcane. I am not sure what the approach will be to keep this franchise rolling. If people want a series, I hope they realize that it won't be the same quality the movie was. I mean, unless they pull an Arcane, which I don't think the chances of that is high. That was pretty expensive, even for Riot. And no, there's not going to be a live-action remake. That's been confirmed a bunch of times. I feel like I have to say that. I wouldn't mind another movie if that would be their approach. If they do, they're not missing the chance to release it in theaters. As far as sequels go, I believe we are getting more content. I just want to remind people, as much as we want more content, we have to be patient and understand that art takes a lot of time and attention. I know it feels forever the more we wait, but if anything is rushed, you will be extremely unsatisfied with the final result. So when you see an artist, just remember that they worked hard to bring you a media that comforts you. Romance is popular in Korean entertainment. Let's be real, you've all heard of a K-drama before. So the romance in this movie was a no-brainer. Tragic, enemies to lovers, Rumi and Chinu. Aww, I'm going to have a hot scalding take. I don't feel bad that Jinu died. Now before you leave a slur and dislike this video, hear me out. Let me be clear. I'm not bouncing off the walls that Jinu is dead. I'm actually glad that he made a sacrifice for Rumi. I do believe that they had something going on. They both had strong underlying feelings for one another. Their blossoming romance was complicated, and that's what made it so interesting. Sure, it's not the most original, it's a very familiar slow burn romance. They're on opposing sides, they have their own motives and goals. One is selfish and the other is selfless. Okay, well, Rumi had her faults, but it was to keep the others protected. She really pulled an I can fix him. As I described when I was talking about the plot of the movie, they connected over their inner turmoils, but also had a pull to one another. Rumi could speak to Jinu regarding her demon side when at the time, she couldn't express how she felt. Celine doesn't count, as she would just constantly tell her to hide, hide, hide. She couldn't even look her in the eyes with her half-demon side all out. I don't even think she wanted to talk about Rumi's demon side. Period. Jinu was probably given kindness for the first time in like 400 years thanks to Rumi. He was questioning his own motives and morals. Initially, he did not give a shiz what it took to get rid of those haunting memories. He was gonna let the whole world burn, and I'm pretty sure they found each other mutually attractive. We have to remind ourselves that they only knew each other for like 2 weeks. I know people really wanted them to kiss, I get it. They're not going to kiss. But I think they were just getting close enough to hug. The most romantic thing they did was hold hands. They're not gonna just start smacking faces together. Rushing a romance that fast is like how old Disney princesses just got married overnight. Like Cinderella got married over her shoe. The story was meant to be tragic. The sacrifice he made was done because he loved her, or at least he truly cared. At first, I was confused as to how she freed his soul, but the more I thought about it, the more it somewhat made sense. He can't go anywhere or escape Kima, who constantly berates him and reminds him that he abandoned his mother and sister. He doesn't know what became of them either due to his young death. There was very much a chance the Demon King could have just won that battle and took Rumi with him. It must have felt like a last resort to Jinu. So when he sacrifices himself, he feels like a weight lifted off his shoulders. He proves that he isn't selfish, that it was done for a genuine reason. And truthfully, I think Jinu wanted to rest. And no, not sleep, eternal rest. I think that's why he got his soul back. Maybe. Maybe he could return to see his family in the afterlife, but he gave his soul to Rumi, so there's a piece of him forever with her. I think that even if Jinu lived, they wouldn't just hop into being in a relationship. With this whole new Han moon, I don't think Kima is gone permanently. He's just small and weak again somewhere. Jinu would have to heal from his trauma. And Rumi would still have to explain that her and Jinu, despite being competition, were actually kind of getting close behind the scenes. Imagine explaining that to Celine. It would be cute to see a slice of life story between the two though. Rumi helps Jinu and he gets more familiar with the modern world. That being said, Jinu is one complicated ship. The Saja Boys. 5 handsome, heart-stealing members. More like Jinu and the Jinus, to be honest. So this coincides with the whole debate/opinion that the movie was too short. With such limited content, there leaves a lot of room for interpretation or headcanons. You know how that goes with fandoms. Since Jinu was pretty much the main antagonist, I understand why he got the spotlight more, but damn, if the other 4 didn't get sidelined like crazy, I don't know. We know Jinu's backstory. What are their backstories? They're not extremely important, but they do still serve their roles as antagonists too, and comedic romances. We all wanted to know more about them. How did Jinu persuade these other demons to help him? I would also love to see how they made Soda pop behind the scenes, just for like a little skit. If demons like Jinu are misunderstood, why doesn't that apply to the other Saja boys? They are so lively in their human forms, but their demon forms are just lifeless and limp. Like, are they not sentient? Because we also have to consider Rumi's very existence. Rumi's father was sentient to love Rumi's mother. It really makes people wonder how demons in this world work. Oh, there's this popular theory that this image here is the original Saja boys, like minus Jinu. Apparently they were part of a failed K-pop group and would soon make a deal with the Demon King to get their success. It explains why they are all familiar with music, choreography, and overall can sing too. Though in my opinion, it's kind of disproven when these two imposters can just sing and dance too. We just didn't have the time to delve into them. Behind the scenes, I'm sure they were cooking more interactions and never made it to the final film. There was supposed to be this whole skit that is like the Idol Olympics, which isn't really familiar here in the West, but to be honest, it does sound kind of cool. Like imagine Rihanna and Beyonce. Much like in the movie, people love seeing their idols interact and even go as far as shipping them. Though the dark reality of that is that people would hate the thought of their celebrities dating one another. Overall, I love the Saja Boys. If you have a favorite Saja Boy, let me know with one of these emojis. I don't think I can pick, so I don't really have a favorite. Anyways, let's move on. I think the title for this segment speaks on its own. It's pretty much what we just talked about, with Jinu being the main character and the other four not really being as important, but with Rumi and Mira and Zoe. And my opinion about this is rather complicated. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Zoe and Mira, but they were just in Rumi's story. Our other two girls weren't entirely neglected, as a vital part of seeing a movie about a group is to see their relationship. It was just unbalanced, and again, I think it had to do with the fact it was in movie form. We did see Zoe and Mira's personality, their story, their struggles, and their overall relationship with being a hunter. I'm going to use Golden as a reference to explain the depth of these characters. As a leader, Rumi has big shoes to fill, or rather a throne. I believe before Huntrix, she remained unsure of her future. She was alone, but as she grew older, she accepted the big mantle and blossomed into something greater. She's the proud leader of Huntrix, but so caught up in these expectations, she has this underlying shadow behind her. She's still very much lonely inside. Rumi faces the fears of her very possible failures every day. She wants to keep pushing forward, and when she finally does, she accepts herself for who she is. And thanks to the people who were there for her, she gets past those burdens. Mira is my favorite. She's funny as hell, but it's also because to a certain extent, I can relate to her. She displays herself a certain way as a protective shell just to hide her struggles inside. Despite this tough look, she's vulnerable on the inside, as we all are. That leads back to her childhood. Her family didn't accept her because she wanted to do her own thing. The visuals represent them as more traditional and formal. This caused her to rebel, but it ended up working out for her because she was her. And this is just speculation, but I wonder if even despite her success, her family disowned her. I say this because when Mira is overwhelmed by her inner demons, we hear this.
There is no we, Zoe. I don't get to have a family.
There's also relatability to Zoe. She's bubbly, she's cute, she's a mood uplifter. Being born in America, she had her own style and ambition that wasn't appreciated entirely by other kids around her. In a storyboard, it was actually revealed that she was bullied. In my opinion, there's a chance that it's technically canon. That's not the only issue she had. I think it's also implied that she is a child of divorce having to do with the split of her parents. It just wasn't working out for her no matter what she ended up choosing. This leads to one of her traits, or in a way, her flaw. Being a people pleaser. She finally found her friends and is afraid of losing them. She wants to support them no matter what, even if she doesn't want to. It might even come off as desperate. All three girls are close to one another and they lift each other up. The troubles that haunt their past are left right where they are. Despite their fame and overall positive publicity, it means more when you have someone in your personal life. I loved their chemistry as besties. I was touched by their sympathy for one another, and their overall relatability made this movie far more appealing to people. Of course, there's more questions fans have about their favorite characters. How did they meet? How were Rumi and Zoe chosen to be hunters as well? What were they like as children? And many more. If we get more content, I hope we learn more. And that leads us to... I mentioned this earlier, but when there is limited content in a fandom, the community loves speculation theories and looking at details in a new angle. Everyone really wants to be that person who noticed a detail no one has ever noticed before. I've seen some posts before of this instance, and it'll be something very minuscule. People will be like, "Did you see the way character A blinked at character B? I think this was a callback to episode 4. Go back to 3 minutes and 10 seconds. I don't want to discredit all of it either. There are some details meant to be noticed. I have nothing against it. It's all fun, but sometimes they get really absurd. But I will give y'all the benefit of the doubt. I am also a sucker to my hyperfixations. This leads to a character that has a lot of mystery. Celine. What does Celine know about Rumi's mother and father? It's been the topic of debate since the movie came out. don't shit on me for this one, but when I first watched it, I thought the twist was that Kima was Rumi's father, bro. Despite how little screen time Celine had, people talk about her a lot. She is hiding something, and I think we all know that. I wish that we kinda saw them interact at the very end of the movie, because what Celine was taught was just thrown entirely out the window. I bet she didn't even know you can make a brand new Hanmoon. I see her character as those type of parental figures that insist their old traditional ways are the best route to life, and put pressure on those they are influencing. One of the conflicts with Huntrix was that the leader was hiding some deep secrets for years. If your enemies can see your weakness, you are doomed. And I guess it's the slightest bit valid since the world is in your hands, but it didn't benefit anyone at the end of it. Your faults and fears must never be seen? Come on, Celine is super insistent about this. It really makes you wonder what happened to the Sunlight Sisters. Was there a fallout? Where is the third member now? How did Rumi's mother die, and was Celine there to witness it? The only hints or leads we have are concepts that didn't make it into the final movie. I recommend watching this video about it. There are so many questions. How did all the girls meet? How is one selected to be a hunter? How does Jinwoo retain so much of his sympathy and his humanity despite being a demon? What happened to all those missing people that lost their souls? Yes, I said missing, by the way, like included by the news. Did they all just stay dead? Could Rumi have single-handedly created the Golden Hanmoon during the Idol Awards? What exactly happened to Jinwoo's soul if Rumi has it now? Is Jinwoo still alive? Okay, relax, we're getting into the crazy questions now. Congratulations, you have reached the end of this video. There might have been some things I missed or didn't talk about. I was just talking about my favorite things from this movie or just anything in general that caught my attention. I hope that this video sparks a lot of discussion and thoughts from you. If you have your own facts, theories, or anything, talk about it in the comments. If you made it this far, also thank you. If I'm your background audio while you work, hi, I hope you're getting a lot done and not procrastinating. And one final thing before you go. Some of the speed paints you have seen in this video are actually designs for stickers I made. If you're interested in buying them from my shop, check them out. If you like K-pop Demon Hunters, then I have this other animatic you might enjoy. I want to do some more animatics, and then I want to do other things. Things that might involve you, my supporters. So follow my other socials to keep up with that if you want to help me in my next video. Also consider becoming a member or a Patreon supporter. That's it, have a good night or day, bye!